Today I will not, I choose not to tell about the fantastic properties and the fantastic durability of PVC flooring. Instead, I wanted to start from the challenges we have with the cities of the future cities and try to see what does it imply and what our industry as a flooring is exposed to. What are the demands? 70% of the world population will live in urban areas, and what we need to continue considering is that we spend 90% of our life indoors, whether we are at home or in the workplace. So that's an important thing for the flooring, especially. Resource scarcity in that future by 2050 is a real a need for a new approach for urban planning. Especially it will imply to design the building in different ways. They need to be made to be reused, maybe more modular. And it's the same for the material that will be in the buildings. Of course, if 70% of the people come and live into the cities, it's important to take care about the health and the environment around. We had the presentation about the pipes, about the water, sanitation, air quality is important, so that impacts health of the people, and of course what will be the externalities of those mega cities. And in that context, the circular economy is a key enabler, and that will be a big support for the waste management in our cities. I'm trying to take 3 steps of the lifespan of a building and to explain to what we are prepared within the flooring industry. So flooring is something that you are looking at, you are working on it. It's something that is very important for architects, for the people who are choosing the materials and the decoration. There's a trend, the building information management, which is the connection of all the information we could have about a building and about its materials, needs to be fed with information. And that needs to be done at an early stage of the building design. So it's more and more information that is required from the manufacturers. And we have to do it because the BIM is supposed to be the new way of designing buildings. So we will need to provide these information. And the BIM will not only be used for designing the product, but that will be as well a kind of database for all the life of the building. So it will be used by the facility managers, but it will be used when you have a renovation. People will want to know what are the materials in the building, what are they made of, what can they do with them when they need to dispose them because they are renovating the building or deconstructing the building. So for that, we really need to integrate the life cycle of the product information for our customers. So it requires as well that we are more open to transparency when it comes to what is the lifespan of our product within the perspective of the building and its future renovation or reconstruction or repurposing. Because building can be housing, they can become office, and then an administration, for instance. When it comes to the use phase of the building, for us the big challenge is that we need to have flooring that is designed for people's well-being. It's extremely important. We spend 90% of our time indoors. That's where we live. That's where our family live. And this morning, Lena said that in our bedroom, that's the place where we are the most exposed. So it's very important for us in the flooring because we are close to the people. We are in contact, indeed, with them. Therefore, the selection of safe materials and low-emission products is really important in our industry. I put safe materials because here there are many frameworks for identifying what is a safe material. That requires from us a lot of research and as well a lot of openness as well, because we have demand for disclosing all this information. The indoor environment is as well very important because now we learn more about the impact of the indoor environment with the well-being of the people or their performance. Then we know that the acoustics of the flooring is important. The colors are important as well. They are related, for example, for the children in schools with their capacity for learning. And for aged people, the darkness or light colors are important, for instance, for Alzheimer people who have Alzheimer's in hospital for aged care. They are important because they help them to find their ways or get to their memories. And it's important as well for elderly people, for instance, to have flooring that make them feel at home. So all that is taken into consideration, and that's part of the well-being. Transparency tools. So here we are not yet to the point where the transparency tools are clear. We have a lot of frameworks that are possible, and some of them are under development. We are talking about the material passport, product environmental footprint, health and toxicology assessment. In some countries, there are some specific frameworks, which are private, but a kind of license to operate and to sell products. For example, in Sweden, we need to make an extensive declaration of what is the content of our product, and it already goes beyond reach. And it comes as well from the regulation. For instance, more emission control regulation on construction products. We have today a French system, a Belgian system, a German one which was discussed by the European Commission, and recently Sweden is preparing a new one, so we do not know what will be the future of this one, but we need to be prepared. So they all are quite the same, but a little bit different. So every time we need to cope with a new framework. So for us, that will be very, very interesting to have something which is more harmonized for the indoor air quality. And the fact that indoor air quality is not under the umbrella of the European Commission, but rather than to the countries, makes those things a little bit difficult. When people have left for many years in the building, it comes time for having our buildings and go to the bank looking for the good materials, and that's where we start to think about the recycling. So Tarkett and some other flooring manufacturers have set up in place some recycling programs, collection and recycling. We believe at Tarkett, in our framework, that we need to have good materials in to enable the recycling. So that's why we spend a lot of effort in selecting the materials, because that's what enables the circularity at the end. The recycling and the possibility to use the materials again from the cities is extremely important. The construction sector itself generates 40% of waste materials. So that's one of the most important providers of waste. So there's a huge challenge in being able to recycle them. But however, the legacy chemicals, the construction residues often require some specific treatments and flows for the post-use flooring recycling. Therefore, when we develop an internal system for recollection, is for the offcuts, and on an installation of vinyl floor, usually it is considered 10% offcuts, so it's important for us to being able to recycle them and recollect them. It's important to see that we can't do it alone, we need partners. And that's as well what is important in the circular economy, is that we need to change the way we are doing business. We need to establish new collaboration. It starts with our supply chain, but it continues as well with the reverse logistics, because you need to have partnership with specialists for recollection and bringing back the products where you want to recycle them. Again, it's important to continue the research and the innovation to find solutions for the materials that are not easy to recycle. And again, it requires funding, it requires eagerness to continue developing solutions. And as well, the regulations need to be facilitating. We think it needs to be found some reasonable solution to allow the recycling of products for applications according to the use rather than according to the danger, because otherwise we will end up with all the waste we can't recycle. So it is important as well that all that is taken into consideration in the future regulation development. It's really a change be successful in the future cities is really a new way of thinking, because for the people we need more transparency on product safety. That's required, and every day we are asked about it, because flooring is indeed something people see the more in the building. From product to system, we need to consider the indoor space, and the indoor air quality is an important aspect of it. And we need to be more collaborative and innovative in the supply chains.